that.
So watch that later. All right, back to.
We could be live at any moment and actually not know it.
And not know it.
As we
only
first give a little preview to what we're doing. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Should we do that? And this is the Auburn Medical Group live YouTube program with you as part of it, because you can chat if you're watching us while we're live, of course.
That's right.
Which we hope you are. So you can be a part of the conversation about, well, we had a survey, and it turned out that the people who responded to the survey wanted us to talk about heat illness rather than COVID-19. Imagine that.
I've had enough of COVID-19.
You've had enough. Let's just turn it off for a
Oh,
while.
man. Yeah, seriously.
So we'll talk about heat illness instead, because it's hot out, and
Has been hot out.
and I probably shouldn't run today. I should probably just be content to walk with it being
Let's
in
see.
the 90s.
96 degrees outside right now.
Oh man. Okay, maybe
in
I
our
should just,
neck of the woods.
maybe I should just walk and be content to walk and listen to a podcast.
There you go.
Which, by the way, if you're not able to catch some of these YouTube programs, but you still want to listen to it, there is a podcast for that called Auburn Medical Group. You can find it wherever you
check it
find
out.
podcasts.
Yep. You don't get to see our crazy visual antics.
We're wearing masks. Anyway, so-
That's about it. That's our visual antic right there.
Yeah, but they can't interact live with us.
That's
by
true, yes.
Commenting and writing in and giving us their questions.
Right.
As some people are doing now. Some of
Already, yeah,
our
Laura
channel
Spirz
members and subscribers. Laura
is
Spirz.
with
Hello,
us.
Laura.
I'm bringing it up here so we can see everything. Rusty Bernard.
Rusty.
Yeah. Lindsay Antoine.
Yeah, oh,
Bianca.
Lindsay
Hey,
and
we got,
Bianca.
yeah.
Excellent.
And Laura Spirz says, I've suffered from heat stroke
Oh,
before.
my goodness.
Does that make me more susceptible to heat illness? Well, I guess we probably should define what that
If
means.
it happened once, most likely.
Yeah.
So, why don't we jump right into it?
Jump right in.
So,
Let's just
Dr.
go
Wayne.
out in the heat. Jump right in.
out
Jump out.
into the heat. Out
Heat,
into?
heat illness, heat-related illness, however you want to refer to it, is actually a constellation of a bunch of different illnesses, which are kind of on a spectrum. Some of them are outside of that. But
People on the spectrum are more at risk?
probably. And maybe they're not drinking as much water, but anyways.
Could be.
So there are, the worst of which is heat stroke, which who was that? Laura said that she had, and that one can be severe. Heat stroke is one that requires immediate medical attention. If left untreated, and you keep just staying out in the heat, you can actually die from it.
So a stroke is some kind of injury to the central nervous system.
Right.
We normally think of stroke as being like loss of function of half the body.
Yes.
Motor and not so much sensory, but can be.
Right.
Loss of speech or language or written language or vision or coordination or balance.
Right. Yeah. So this is not a focal anomaly within the brain. It's just a kind of overarching lack of oxygen, if you want to think of it that way, because where to the point where your hypothalamus, which regulates your temperature, stops working. So you just get hotter and hotter and hotter. And that heat is actually what causes the damage within the brain.
To the point that some, incorrect, but some materials on heat stroke will say that the patient will not be sweating.
Right.
Which is not an absolute for some
Not
who have
always.
CNS dysfunction.
Right.
Central nervous system dysfunction.
It can happen, or they can have sweating from previous, because right before you go into heat stroke, you have heat exhaustion where you're just sweating profusely. So that some of that can still be on the person where you can still see that.
But they can actually lose temperature regulation
Right.
of the brain, stop sweating,
Yes.
inappropriately stop sweating.
Yeah, and get hot to the point where they go into a coma. You can have seizures, and you can even die. It's a serious thing.
So it seems like every time you bring up heat stroke, somebody will tell you about when they had it.
Right.
And
Yeah, which they're probably
not.
talking about heat exhaustion, which is a milder form.
And can look similar. in
Again,
some
you can have
ways.
headaches. You can have a little bit of confusion, but you don't get to the point where you're losing consciousness and losing that temperature regulating ability.
And really needing to be hospitalized.
For heat stroke, yes. Yeah, so heat exhaustion is a milder form. So heat exhaustion, you're out in the heat, you're not hydrating, you're losing electrolytes through sweating, you're losing fluid through sweating, and all the vessels in your skin, the surface of your skin, are dilating to try to get off that excess heat. They're trying to get off that heat. And you start sweating pretty profusely, typically. But you start to have some other symptoms with that. Headache, sometimes confusion, nausea, vomiting. What else am I missing?
Sounds about right.
Those are kind of big ones. But and that is kind of the signal that, you are headed there and you need to get some fluids in you and get to a cool area and start cooling yourself down. And you can even put, cool packs around your neck, under your armpits. Leg pit.
You only have one. I mean, there's two legs, but they kind of come to the same fit. So.
I guess.
But yeah, ice packs on the groin.
Sounds painful.
Around the neck.
Yeah. So cooling down is important, or else this will progress to heat stroke, that emergency. So the treatment is essentially that. You want to get away from the heat. So cool down, get out of the heat, get in the shade. Get some water in you, definitely fluids.
Yeah. So in the emergency department, when we're treating this, we'll
actually, you've probably had a little more experience.
We'll actually do the ice packs in the groin and axilla. Not so much immersion, like in a tank of water, because that makes for some difficulties if you need to treat in other ways, especially if somebody was having heart arrhythmias and you want to be monitoring them or possibly even giving them shocks. So immersion really isn't something that's done in the emergency department. A good technique, as long as you don't have too much humidity in your emergency department, which usually you don't. Usually it's humidity controlled with air conditioning. Having a fan and spraying mist over the body. Yeah. And there's actually, you've seen them on the professional sports. They actually have that built. A fan that actually has the hoses coming.
The spray in with it,
Actually, they probably have them at Home Depot now.
Yeah, and as you blow that water across the body and kind of evaporate off, that whole action will cool down.
So the water gets on the skin, absorbs heat, the wind blows it, it evaporates, and it's taking the heat in the process of evaporation, but you have to get rid of it. So that's why the fan, that's why you need to be in an air-conditioned room for it to work.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we have to monitor it, and the only way to really know what's going on is to know what that core temperature is.
Right. So you got to monitor that
temperature is with a rectal probe in far enough that you actually know the temperature inside.
Yes, this is one case. This is one case where a rectal probe is needed to really monitor that closely. And So drink your water or else.
So the aliens with their rectal probing, that's something different from. It's essentially, I shouldn't say thermometer. The probe is connected to a device that altogether is called a thermometer, but the probe is the part that gets the temperature from inside of the body. Yeah. Deep in the core.
Right. And in heat stroke, that temperature can go up over 104 degrees. I mean, it goes up high. You get hot. So you need to cool that down quickly. And Laura Spirz says yes, she was in the hospital, so she may have had true heat stroke. So so Bianca says their temperature tomorrow across the pond is 16 degrees Celsius.
Oh, make me do math.
It sounds cool. I just know 38 degrees is a fever, so that's 100 degrees. There's the math right there.
And 0 is 32.
And 0 is 32, so 16 is halfway between that, plus 35.
Is it 4 sevenths?
Plus, oh gosh.
Is a degree Celsius?
You divide by something, probably carry the 2. I have no idea.
Is it 4 sevenths? I don't even know.
I don't remember.
Or the other way around.
It's 5 ninths, 4 sevenths.
Fahrenheit degree is 4 sevenths.
Somebody out there who we just measure in Fahrenheit
we're
here.
Showing off our slow math skills here.
Yeah, or you just ask Siri or Google or
such and such
Alexa.
Such and such.
Yeah, they'll do the math for you.
What is inches and centimeters? Yeah, Siri's pretty good for that.
Yeah. So let's see. We talked about treatment. How about prevention? How do you prevent this?
Yeah, just don't get hot. Be cool.
Just be cool.
Just be cool.
Hey. Be cool.
There you go.
Be cool.
We did it.
Drink lots of water. That's kind of the biggest thing. You got to make sure you're urinating often. The stated frequency is every 2 hours. That's
somebody who really has to pee.
really drinking your water and staying on top of it, and that will assure that your urine's not getting dark.
Every 2 hours? I do not want to drive anywhere with you.
Yeah. Can't travel anywhere. That is a recommendation for people who are working outside in the heat like nonstop. So you got to stay on top of it. That's a lot of water.
Because you're usually sweating more and losing more through insensible loss or expiration.
Expiration. You're breathing harder.
You're losing water. Yep. So it takes a lot of drinking to be able to keep that.
This past weekend, this is why I wrote about this. I was working outside, putting up a fence.
Is that your fence in the picture?
That is my fence. Go check it out. I put up that fence.
There's a link to.
Oh, excellent! Check it out.
I
put up a fence, which is.
Did your brothers help?
Last week, but all the hard stuff was. I pretty much did all the hard stuff on myself. So, yeah.
Throwing shade on your brothers here on
pretty much
on YouTube
because he helped for one day. He put in some T-posts.
Okay.
Helped me dig a little, but anyways. The fence is up, but at least one side of it. Now I've only got 2 more sides.
You really got hot.
Man.
Working on the fence.
So it was hot. It was in the 90s over the past 2 weekends. I was drinking a lot of water. I typically drink. I'm not the greatest water drinker, but I was drinking a lot of water, and even then, I got a little behind. My urine got a little dark. So
I was going to say, instead of that every 2 hour rule, I love is your urine clear.
Yeah, that's another way to do it.
If it's clear, you know that you're well hydrated.
Right. Yeah. If you have a really big bladder, you can do that.
If it looks like Coca-Cola,
no, not good.
You need to talk to your doctor.
Yeah. And there are other things on the that spectrum of heat-related illness. I didn't go into a lot of those. One of them is cramps, heat cramps. And that's basically where you just get cramps in the muscles that you're working typically. They get really tight. And that's pretty easily ameliorated with water. And
usually just water.
Yeah, that usually does it. You don't really need to do electrolytes or salt tablets. You don't really need to do those. You can get a snack in you if you want.
And the reason is, as soon as you eat, you're getting your sodium and your electrolytes through your food. So if you're going to be eating, you really don't need the salt tablets for most people. It's the people running the marathon or the Western States Endurance Run. Maybe there's a reason for electrolytes in that circumstance.
Yeah. Sorry, I was getting a little behind on this.
On the comments?
16 degrees is 60 degrees.
Thank you. So, cool day.
That's a nice cool day. Yeah.
Makes me like she's in the north.
So I have orthostatic hypotension, where my systolic will drop under the 70 and into the 70s. Yeah.
Yep.
You're at risk for that happening if you get behind on your water, for sure.
That's right.
So there are some medical conditions which make you more susceptible, and even medications.
Yeah.
So if you, that would be one of those.
They go together. The people who are more vulnerable are usually the people who are taking the medicines.
You're right. Yeah.
They make them more vulnerable too.
Right. Yeah. So if you have a weakened immune system, if you have low blood pressure, if you're on medications that dehydrate you, like diuretics, or slow down your heart. They don't drink as much.
They also don't know to get out of the heat.
You're right. Yeah. Older.
And they're taking all those medicines.
Well, and when you're older, you kind of lose a little bit of that temperature regulation, anyways. Same with the really young, like infants. The really young and the really old are susceptible to this a little more than everyone else.
People on antipsychotics.
Yep.
Because they also impair
temperature sometimes
regulation. Or can actually be the problem without it being hot with malignant hyperthermia.
Right.
That's just a bad one for temperature.
Yeah, your temperature just keeps going up because the medication is affecting that.
Serotonin syndrome, which people can get from SSRIs. And usually not just SSRI. Usually it has to be
a combination with something else.
Yep. Another medicine that's causing the same sort of action. We have some awesome comments there.
Yeah. Teresa, hey, welcome. We didn't mention you earlier.
Too.
If you are a migraine sufferer like me, the weather makes life worse. Yeah, I would think so. Thank God for air conditioning, she says. And it's too hot and humid. Humidity is another one. So if it's humid outside, you're not able to evaporate off the sweat that you're sweating and cool yourself down. So it makes you a little more susceptible as well.
Yeah, the air's already full of
fluid.
water vapor, so it doesn't need yours coming off your skin, and so it just stays.
Yeah. I went to Florida, what was that, like 4 or 5 years ago?
No, that long ago?
It's been a while. But when I was there, we were in California. It's pretty dry here.
Well, a little hot today.
Went to Florida, and I was at that point training for, it was either a half marathon or a marathon. And I went running in the Florida heat and humidity. And I was really only able to go, if I remember, only half as far as I usually go because it got so bad. But anyways. Yeah, lots of water. I had to stop a lot to refill my water.
Yeah, right.
So what's the takeaway? Drink your water. Oh, hey, AAA's with us.
Oh, from Allidaid.
Yeah.
All right.
Andrea. Yeah. We've got like the whole crew here.
Everybody's here.
Wow, excellent. Thanks for showing up, guys.
All right. Should I give a shout out again to Gabrielle like I did, was it last week?
Gabrielle.
When I made that comment about parishes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't recall that.
Showed it to her over the weekend. She thought it was cool.
Okay. So yeah, that's all the comments.
That was a good little review.
Very
heat
quick review.
Now, some of you don't know where we came up with that choice of topic. First of all, Dr. Gwaine, it was on drgreenknight.com.
Yeah. Because I was dealing with that, which is usually how it goes. Whatever I feel like writing about.
That's what we talk about. But we put it out there as a poll on YouTube, and people who are subscribed, but I think you also have to be have the bell icon activated.
Probably, I would imagine,
to really be able to not miss something like that. So if you haven't already activated notifications when you subscribe to this channel, you want to hit that bell icon so that you would be able to participate in things like that survey about what's our topic today.
Hey. And you guys drove this conversation. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay.
It was all on you guys. So maybe we should do those more. But we appreciate it. Yeah, I think people were mostly like, no, we don't want to talk about COVID.
Yeah. Well, last time I checked, there was about 17 people who had answered. It really was last minute. Did I do it at noon or something?
It was afternoon. Yeah. And maybe like 1 or 2 o'clock.
People answered, and it was 2/3 for
That's a pretty good response for just a few hours notice. Good job, guys.
And 1/3 for COVID-19.
Yeah.
Which, again, for those who have no idea why we sit all the way half off the frame, it's not because the camera operator is bad at framing. It's because it's COVID-19. We are doing our best to socially distance ourselves within the limitations of what we have
our
here.
Huge studio. Maybe I should just go sit up in the audience.
Sit up in the peanut gallery there with the rest of the Saturday Night Live.
Here's my thought. People did not want to hear about COVID-19 because they're subscribed to Dr. Vaughan's COVID-19 updates daily podcast, right?
Oh, you got the
Are you all
cool.
subscribed? If not, you should be. It's a nice little 5 minute, typically 5 minutes. It'll give you the latest news on COVID and coronavirus and where we're at with everything.
That's what it does.
Very succinct and well curated. So check that out. Make sure you subscribe to that.
That's very nice, Dr.
Yeah. It's a good one. While you're at it, subscribing to things, hop on over to Dr. Green Knight. Subscribe to that.
Link in the description.
1 email a week, just one, when the newest blog comes out, typically Monday mornings.
Oh, okay. So, anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am over on Patreon. I do want to thank my Patreons, Boo Boo Kitty and Teresia Rowatt. Thank you for what you do. You make it happen.
And there's also a Patreon for Dr. Vaughan, DoctorVaughan, and that is where we thank Lindsay Antoine and Boo Boo Kitty. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Till next time.
Hey, I'm Dr. Wayne Vaughan.
And Dr. Mark Vaughan telling you to stay in good health.
Drink your water.
And drink your water.
And stay out of the heat.
And stay out of trouble.
And stay out of trouble.